This is WJTV News Channel 12 this morning.
Our motto is come as you are, become radically transformed. And I think that identifies who we are more than anything. It's no matter what your past history, you're welcome here.
And appropriately, that church is called New Beginnings Christian Ministries. It's Sunday morning. We're putting faith in focus. The church started in a living room, but spread to Terry Road. It was a drummer who realized there was a demand for his approach. You saw him. He's halfway to a beehive goatee, extremely non-formal, but that image probably works toward his goal of including people who may not fit in, let's say, at other churches. They call themselves NBC Ministries, and they're putting faith in focus. The first guitar licks start service at New Beginnings, welcoming a cross-section of believers you might not find at your neighborhood church. Meet piano player Chuck Perry.
It comes across differently. You're intermingling with people that have been down on their luck, that have had hard times. Several of our people that attend here have been to prison, including myself. I was living a party lifestyle and definitely wasn't living for God. I went to a church before this one, and they knew about my past, and they were basically scared to let me do anything. They wouldn't really let me get involved in anything that I wanted to get involved in. You know, it was fine for me to come in and just sit on the back row, and you know, they were cool with that. But as far as anything beyond that, they really were reluctant to let me, you know, do anything else.
And we have a motto. It says, "Come as you are, become radically transformed." So the people we're trying to reach are those, no matter what your past, no matter what your history, we want you to come here and worship with those.
Pastor Tim Burnett says if he hadn't become a pastor, maybe he would have been in the music business. His walls are covered with memorabilia from Striper, a Christian hair metal band. That means he's actually aware that not all people search out religion in the same way. This approach tries to keep people from getting discouraged.
The Bible tells us through and through that there's like a mark, like a bullseye, that's how I explain it. And God's design for us, really, mankind was designed to hit that center of that bullseye. We have missed that bullseye because of sin. We just miss it. What I want to tell my people is that I've missed that bull's mark myself, big time. I've blown it and still do at times. But how they're going to be transformed is that there's nothing that they can do. They're never going to hit the bullseye. There's nothing we can do to get to the bullseye or get to God. But God's grace and His love is what transforms us. No matter what our past mistakes, no matter what our failures, no matter what our past sin, that is what transforms. That's my goal, is when they leave here, they've experienced the love and the grace of Jesus.
And Perry says it's still working for him.
And it's really let me get involved, and it really let me become part of the church, whereas before I didn't really feel like I was part of the church.
3 churches actually meet in that space used by NBC Ministries, just at different times. New Beginnings meets at the earliest time, with service starting at 9 a.m.
This is WJTV News Channel 12 this morning.
We're close to one another. We're tight-knit, and we're family.
A closeness in the congregation led by a husband and wife team in Raymond. It's Sunday morning. We are putting faith in focus. Well, I certainly have not been quiet about it. 1 week ago today, I got married. Her name is Eleanor, and this weekend is actually the first time we've spent time apart since that ceremony. But it's all right, and you know why? Well, before being wed, I met 2 clergy members, husband and wife, who for the better part of 40 years worked apart at different churches every single Sunday, until now. Let's head out to St. Mark's Episcopal Church in Raymond, where the team is putting faith in focus. No music at church this morning. The piano player is tending to his ailing father, and in a church this small, there's no backup plan.
We have no running water. We have no bathroom facilities. For the world existed.
But the vicar, Janet Ott, says St. Mark's does have one thing, and extra, if you will, that other churches don't.
That's an interesting question. An Episcopal church the size of ours usually has 1 clergy person. I think Luther may be the first official associate vicar in the Diocese of Mississippi and its history.
Because of our size and because of the spirit of this place, it feels very relaxed and informal.
Lutherot is Janet's husband. They've been working together here for more than 5 years now. They say what they do in the church with their tight-knit community is just as important as what they do after, with the entire church meeting for coffee just down the street, a benefit of guiding a small group with the person you love.
It's our preferred way to work.
We have both served big churches apart. She's been the rector of one of the biggest churches in the state, and I've been the rector of big churches and interim rector in big churches, and we love that too. I mean, we love the people everywhere we've served, and every place has blessed us. But we really love serving together. We love to be able to get up on Sunday morning and come to church together. As you can tell from her sermon this morning, there's simply not a better preacher in the Anglican Church than my beloved wife.
But the church celebrates it nonetheless.
That church also served as a hospital for Union soldiers during the Civil War. The two say there are still stains from blood near the back of the building, and I would have showed that to you, but it's since been carpeted. Maybe next time.
This is WJTV News Channel 12 this morning.
And that's what we want to do, is serve, help others, and make life, the quality of life, better for others.
Treating the neighborhood like family on Father's Day at Pearl Street AME. It's Sunday morning. We're putting faith in focus. The love of a child, parents might like to believe that it's equal between mom and dad, and it might be. It's hard to quantify a love, but what you may agree with is that relationships, the connections, depending on the role of the parent, are just plain different. And according to a Jackson pastor on Father's Day, that's not a bad thing. He's putting faith in focus. Children give out small tokens to thank their dads on Father's Day Sunday. At Pearl Street AME, Pastor Samuel Boyd says dad's main role should be teacher by good example and not necessarily an enforcer.
My mother and father both were ministers, and I recall being very young. My father was on his way to the church. We were riding. My brother and myself, we were out playing and let the emergency brakes down, and that was one of the greatest chastisement, let me say whipping, that we got from our mother. Dad didn't bother. By the faith of a noble father. But mother got us, because the car was going downhill rolling.
Losing control. It can happen to a child without strong and present role models. At the church, Pastor Boyd says he sees it in the surrounding neighborhoods. They actually have a free lunch program for children who are currently on summer break.
We just want to serve. We want to serve this area. As a song we sing, serve this present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, may it all my power engage to do the Master's will. There are a lot of little things we think about that happened growing up at the church. And God blessed me to pastor at least one of the churches that my father used to pastor.
Pastor Boyd has served Pearl Street AME for nearly 15 years. Also an impressive music section out there. Basically, whatever you've got, guitar, bass, violin, trumpet, trombone, flute, you're welcome to play it there in their big sound.
This is WJTV News Channel 12 this morning.
You know, a lot of times we can come to church and that's all we have is that moment at church. But when we leave, we want you to take something with you. Take a plan with you. Your life should be purposed.
Direct messages coming out of a Clinton church. It's Sunday morning. We're putting faith in focus. The name of this weekend's church is Purposed Life Ministries, and the emphasis really is on that word, purposed. How often do you think about your goals, your dreams? Maybe in church you reflect on the big life choices, but are you thinking about how to get where you want to be, say, at the grocery store or when you're taking out the trash? This Clinton church says that drive plus worship is putting faith in focus.
In the glory of the
A number of people at Purpose Life Ministries admit they just like the energy here. There are constant reminders to improve yourself, and Jamerical Bailey, originally from Rockford, Illinois, says being a part of the church is helping her realize the depths of her faith after a tough childhood.
My mom was on drugs, and my dad, he sold drugs. So I grew up without either of my parents being active in my life. My grandmother raised me, but she had 5 other kids of her own. She had my other 2 sisters, and I always wanted to make things easier for her, so I started working at 12.
Take us above our circumstances. A lot of people that come here are dealing with a lot of hurt and pain from their past family relationships, can't seem to accept the world for what it is, and we try to give them a plan for how to break through those barriers.
Somebody gotta have some sense, and the person that has the sense is the one that what? Leads.
Pastor Glenn Friday says within every single person, the best version of themselves is lying dormant. Through preaching, guidance, and encouragement, he says his goal is to bring that better person out.
Genesis! Come on, say amen. Amen. We want them to have faith in God and believe that God will actually change them, even if they don't recognize what's going on at the time of their life. Because most people have had, don't understand what's happening in their life when the conversion happens.
The devil can't hold us. We on Christ, so the devil cannot hold us. Right now, I'm really realizing that I have a purpose, and I'm realizing that God wants to use my life as a message. And I know that I have a platform here in Mississippi. I know that something in my life can help others. And it's starting to all make sense. I know that God called me, He chose me.
We want to thank you right now for your presence, oh God.
And He relocated me all the way from Illinois to be here in Mississippi. Even when I tried to leave, you know, it was a purpose for me to be here. A very young church. I'm talking about the ages, not the level of experience. Pastor Friday says he's been a part of the community in Clinton for 17 years, and he's been working on his approach to the ministry for about that long.